Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another light novel review. Now today's light novel review is going to be on Full Metal Panic Volume 2. Let me show you the illustrations for that. Here we go. Volume 2, that's the cover, as you can see, and then here's some illustrations for it. Let me see. There we go, some more. And I think that's the last one. So those are the illustrations for that, that are in color, which I think should be the illustrations at the beginning of a single book version. This is a 3-in-1, collects volumes 1, 2, and 3. And today we're going to cover Rampaging One Night Stand, which is book 2. Now this is written by Shoji Gato. It's published by J Novel Club. As you guys can see right there, and this lovely collector's edition, and the genres are action, mecha, military, and slice of life romance to an extent. This does have an adaptation, and I think the anime covered only the first 3 volumes plus like 1 or 2 extra stories that are anime only, if I remember correctly. I'm not really sure though. If I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. So the premise of this second book is basically that this new threat arises, this new kind of terrorist group slash anti-government kind of group with an extremely large AS or armed slave at their disposal. It's called the Behemoth. And meanwhile, this kind of is starting to happen. This organization is rising up. Sasuke must deal with the sudden interest to him and like like attraction, I guess, from the girls in his life, in this case Kaname and Tessa. And it's a really fun story. So the plot line here, it's really good. It doesn't feel repetitive, which is something that a lot of light novels that have volumes that are self-contained kind of feel. The first volume, I would argue that it's definitely self-contained. I mean, it is open for more stories, and the second one too, but at the end of the first volume, you could have just read that and it would have been fine. You wouldn't have any issue with leaving it at that. There was definitely mystery and intrigue for more stuff, but it wasn't necessary for you to read more. The story was pretty self-contained. So when that happens, it's usually the case that the second volume feels really repetitive and like you're hitting on the same beats. That's not the case in this situation. It's actually a little bit different. You can tell that there's similar elements between one book and the next, or between book 2 and book 1, especially near the end. It all culminates into a big battle at the end, which is somewhat repetitive, but it's kind of normal. Books do end up having the big bad confrontation at the end of each book, so it makes sense. It's not really repetitive in that way, I guess. But it is definitely different from book 1. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Basically, there's this introduction of a new bad guy. Tessa, the commander of the Tuathan, has to go to this base to see him. Stuff happens. Basically, they have to go to Sasuke's place for protection, and then it kind of derails. They end up at this school at night, and then the big battle at the end. And it's really fun. It was really well executed. There was enough intrigue. It felt a little bit more political than the first one. Where like the first one was a lot more action based. This one felt a little bit more like the conflict came from interpersonal relationships instead of there's a bad guy trying to kill me, which there was in this case, but most of the conflict was within the same characters, which was pretty nice. It was really interesting to kind of change the focus a little bit. And yeah, Sasuke has to step in and save the day, which seems like it's going to be the standard kind of way that these books go. So the characters here are really good. There's a lot to enjoy, in my opinion. Sasuke and Kaname are having a very rocky but slowly developing friendship and like relationship. Obviously they develop a sort of like romance in the first book. It's not really a romance. It's more like a puppy love, I guess, or like a sort of deeper understanding that neither Kaname nor Sasuke have had with anyone before. And it kind of changes them a little bit, and they kind of seem to be developing a relationship. But of course, stuff becomes a little rocky when Tessa shows up, and then apparently she has a certain amount of, relationship-esque kind of stuff happening with Sasuke too. So a lot of the tension comes from Sasuke being completely unaware, while Kaname and Tessa kind of have like, not a competition, but like a slight antagonistic relationship. And it's really interesting. I really enjoyed myself with it. It was really fun, in my opinion. I also like a lot of the other characters that were developed or introduced. Takuma is this crazy, like, child soldier. He's kind of like Sasuke, but he was hyped up on drugs and a bunch of crazy stuff. And so he's really, like, messed up. And it's really interesting to see, what Sasuke could have been if circumstances were different. But luckily, although he's still kind of messed up, he's not as crazy and psychotic as Takuma. I also liked the woman that was Takuma's older sister, and the way she interacted with the other guy that's like Sasuke's father figure. I can't remember his name. But it was really interesting. I liked them. I thought it was cool how it all worked. But that's basically it for that. Now, the world building. There's not really much. I think world building in this set of books is going to be rather slow, at least from what I've seen. There's a big mystery here with these whispered and this black technology and stuff, but you kind of lose a lot of the intrigue and interest if you show much of it early on. So I think it's being drawn out on purpose to continue to make people want to read these books. And it's really interesting. It was working well. I'm really interested in the technology behind the ASs and stuff. So I will keep reading because I want to figure out how they kind of did it. I mean, obviously it's not real. It's definitely really soft science fiction where a lot of it doesn't make sense. It just kind of like sounds scientific. But, I mean, that's cool. I don't really mind. I like mechas. I think they're fun. So I don't really mind that it's not hard sci-fi. So it's all good. But yeah, that's it for the world building. There's not really much to it. So the art, it's much better than the first one. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they changed the artist or something. But the difference between the art in the second book and the first one is huge. And it's not really different visually, like the characters are drawn the same and they look the same, but the difference is that there is no longer huge swaths of black. It's a lot more delineated, and there's a lot less black everywhere, so it actually makes a lot of definition pop out in the different characters. So you kind of see a lot of more about what the characters are, instead of like in the first volume where you just saw a bunch of black and white streaks and you kind of had to figure out what it was supposed to be. But great improvement on the art. Really liked the different things that we saw this book. Let me see if I can find one or two that I like. Here's like a good example. So in the first book, this would have been like all black, but now you can see there's a lot less black and it looks much nicer. You can clearly see Sasuke there. And that's kind of what I meant. Let me show you something else that I liked. Okay, here. I really like this one as well. These power suits look cool. The proportions on the characters are really wacky, but overall, I think they're really fun. And I'm not a huge fan of that old style kind of really pointy characters, especially in their faces. But in this case, I think it kind of works well. I like how it looks, but I would not usually enjoy it. Here's another one. And this, yeah, can you guys see that? This would have been really, really black in the first book, and I am really happy that it's not. You can see the Arlabast really well, and it's really nicely done. I don't know if it's really improvement of the artist, or if they just went with a different style for these for this volume. Either way, I really enjoy it, and I'm really happy with the way it worked out. So, the fan service, there's not really any. There's a few kind of like hints of it, like Tessa takes a shower, and Sasuke can hear her getting naked, or, you know, stuff like that. It's not really heavy or that explicit. It's just kind of a little bit titillating if you're like a teenager or something, or at least I assume that it would be. I'm not really sure. I didn't find it really all that interesting, mostly because it wasn't like explicit, I guess. But yeah, I would rate this a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was really good. I liked it a little bit more than the first one, and it caught my attention a lot more than the first one, which is interesting. I definitely recommend it, and I actually can't think of a similar title, mostly because I'm not really well versed in the mecha genre. But that's it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, and share if you can, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Don't forget that I have a Tentai Books code that you can use to buy digital copies from them at a reduced price. The coupon is 10%. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and see you guys later.